Hi everyone, my name is Matt. I'm the youth family pastor at Cornerstone Church in Marshfield. I'm here today with Cornerstone Connection, a daily devotional. Question for you as we begin. Have you ever just missed it? Like something big happened and you just completely missed it. Maybe you didn't see it, maybe you didn't hear it, you just completely missed it. Or sometimes it's like you saw it, you heard it, but you just missed it. Well, in today's text, we're going to be in 2 Samuel chapter 11. I'm going to start by reading the first few verses of that story, and it's a story that's probably going to be familiar to many of you. But here's the thing, as we unpack that story a little bit, and as it reads in chapter 11, but also as it goes into chapter 12, I'm afraid sometimes there's a really key part, a really key character that though we read about this character, and though we know about this character, and we don't completely miss this character, I believe in a sense we miss just the gravity of the situation on this character. Okay, you understand what I mean here in a moment. So we're in 2 Samuel chapter 11, starting in verse 1. Here we go. Here's what it says. It says, in the spring at the time when the kings go off to war, David sent Joab out with the king's men and the whole Israelite army. They destroyed the Ammonites and besieged Rabbah, but David remained in Jerusalem. One evening, David got up from his bed and he walked around on the roof of the palace. From the roof, he saw a woman bathing. The woman was very beautiful, and David sent someone to find out about her. The man who came back said, "Isn't this Bathsheba, the daughter of Eliam and the wife of Uriah the Hittite?" Then David sent messengers to get her. She came to him, and he slept with her. Then she went back home. The woman conceived and sent word to David, saying, "I am pregnant." That's where we're going to pause today. As the story continues, you might be familiar with this one, where, yes, she conceives. And David goes, I'm in trouble. I've done something wrong. And so he tries to cover up his mistake. In fact, he gets Bathsheba's husband, Uriah, and he invites him to a special feast and gets him drunk and tries to send him home to sleep with his wife so that when that baby comes, they can say, no, this is Uriah's baby, not David's baby. And yet Uriah, being an upright man, he stays with his men. He answers his call to duty, and he doesn't do exactly what the king wants him to do, or that the king hopes he will do. And so David knows he's in a pickle. He knows he's in a tough situation, and he needs to do something about it. He needs to solve his problem. And that's where he makes a mistake. He tries to solve his problem. And so, in a way, he conspires against Uriah. He puts Uriah in the front lines of battle, and all the other men draw back, and Uriah is killed in battle. And then David goes and he calls Bathsheba to be his wife, and they have this child. And Nathan the prophet at that time of Israel, he calls David out on this, and he says, David, you've sinned against the Lord. And David knows it. And as a result of your sin, David, your child with Bathsheba is going to die. And in fact, that's what happens as we creep into 2 Samuel chapter 12. And it's a terribly dark and awful story. It really, really is. And I got to tell you, though, I think sometimes we miss Bathsheba in this story. No doubt we read her name and we know she's a big part of the story, but I think we just miss the layers of loss for Bathsheba in the story. I think we get so fixated on David and what he didn't do and what he did do and his sin and the results of that sin that we miss Bathsheba, and we miss the layers of loss that she goes through. I mean, think about it. When David calls her to come to him, she doesn't have a choice in the matter. He's the king. She's a woman in the kingdom. She has to do what he says. And he says, you need to lay with me. And so she does. And so she loses that covenant relationship with her husband, Uriah, who, by all accounts, from what we can tell, was an upright and godly man, a man who honored the king and was a blessing to his family. But not only that, she doesn't just lose this covenant relationship that she has with her husband, Uriah. She ends up losing her husband outright, as David sets him up to die in battle, and Uriah dies. And so she loses her husband, she loses her covenant relationship with her husband, and then she just loses all she knew life to be, as David calls her to the palace to be his wife, and she's got to start this new life that's started all dark and messy, and so she's lost her way of life that she was used to and comfortable with. And then on top of that, eventually this child that was conceived out of wedlock and in breaking her relationship with her husband, this child dies. So she not only has lost her covenant relationship with her husband, but she's not only lost her husband or the life that she knew and came to appreciate, but now she's lost a child. And she has to go on living with this person who completely destroyed her life. And I think sometimes we lose sight of Bathsheba in the pain and the lament and maybe some of the guilt she felt and some of the shame she felt and the layers of loss that she had in her life. And you can just imagine just how sad she was, just how angry she was, just how much she maybe wanted to point her finger at God and maybe did and said, I can't believe you allowed this to happen. I mean, think of the layers of loss that Bathsheba went through and just the feelings that she would have had towards God, towards David, towards life in general. Friends, I think about some of you. I think about some of you in our church and the amount of loss that you have gone through and the things that just continue to pile on you, one thing after another. That whole adage of when it rains, it pours. And how tempting it is in those moments to turn towards God and point our finger at him and say, how dare you, I can't believe you could, and yada, yada. But friends, let me encourage you. Let me encourage you. Remember that God sees you. Remember that God knows you. Remember that God loves you. Remember that he cares for you. Remember that he can redeem anything and everything for his glory and for your good and for the good of the people around you. Trust him no matter what happens in life, because he is a good and he is a loving God, and he sees you, knows you, loves you, and cares for you. Have a great day, friends. We'll see you next time on the Cornerstone Connection.